Hello everybody and welcome back. Thank you for joining me. Wonderful this evening. I have another friend on board, and this friend I've known for a very, very long time. He's one of my web buddies, and it's Warren Port. Now, a lot of you will remember because you commented on the picture that I have on my show and on the website, and it's a picture of mine and Manu and me as a small child, and people ask me constantly, where did I get that made? Well, it was my friend Warren that made that for me, and it's actually at the side of me on my bed, and it's the last thing I look at night and the first thing that I see in the morning. So that's how long me and Warren have known each other. And Warwick, oh, I'm really sorry about that. Warren is from the Dorset area, I think, if I'm correct. You are, yeah? And you, like myself and Steve and a number of the others, have had some strange experiences happen to you during your lifespan, shall we say. And would you mind telling us probably what was one of the first things that you remember?
Not that I was aware at the time, but the very first thing that I became aware that wasn't particularly common or usual, certainly wasn't the norm in my family, was that I remembered as a very small child living before and used to tell my mother all about my life previous.
That is, that's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. I have spoken to other people in the same boat, and my dad once told me that when I was about 2 or 3 years old, I actually sat up in bed and had a full conversation with him in German, and it's not a language I knew at that age, and it's always made me question how I would have known that language at such a young age. What can you tell us a little bit more about who you were and in your past life?
There's one that I remember a lot of, but there are others that kind of came back bit by bit as I got older.
Right.
But the one that I always remembered the most, I can kind of tell you the outline of a lifetime, really. I remember being a child. I remember being looked after by a nanny. I remember that the clothes were different, that it was a different time, obviously. There weren't cars, there weren't a lot of the things that we have now. I remember being babysat once by my oldest sister, that in that life she was my oldest sister. In this life, she's my mother.
Right.
I remember when she was meant to be babysitting me, she was off with a man who, in this life, is my father.
Right.
I remember I went to university, Oxford University, in that life. We went on a visit to Bath, and we went to the sunken baths, and I remember I went in, and wasn't supposed to, and I was actually arrested for going in the baths. The outline of that lifetime really was, as a young man, I joined the Navy.
Yeah.
And I went away, and just before I went away, I had a very brief relationship with a woman, and sort of fell in love, but kind of felt that it wasn't going to work, and went off with the Navy, went off work, did whatever I did. I'm not really sure. There's a big part of that life missing. What I do remember is later on, as an older man, I regretted kind of leaving her and wanted to go and see if I could find where she was, see if I could go and see her.
Yeah.
And I managed to track down a house, and by now I'm an old man, I've got a gammy leg, I was an alcoholic, and I met a young couple at this house that showed me photographs and a letter from the woman I was looking for. And it turned out this woman had had a baby that was mine, that I had no idea about, and she'd been put in a workhouse. And this was all due to me, and I'd left her. I didn't know anything about that. And I died in that young couple's house that night. Wow. I can remember dying, and I can remember repeating to myself, I will never forget this.
I'm so moved. I'm really choked, and my chest is so tight. That's more than just a passing memory. that's feelings and emotion, and it must have had such an impression on. We'll use the word soul. I don't really ever know what to call it. The pure us, the inner us.
Yeah.
That you've carried it within you into your next life. It's incredible.
It's like I refused to let it go.
Incredibly
really.
moving.
Kind of,
yeah.
It's like it became an obsession.
Mm.
That went beyond that life, you know.
Yeah, I do. My mum used to tell me about a midwife, and she said that she told my mum when my mum were younger that some babies were born and you could tell instantly from looking at them that they'd been here before. You could see that they were still, you know, that the self, as I call it, the you carried it a little bit of that over with you, I think, each time. That is incredibly moving, Warren, I've got to be honest. Yeah, it shook me a little bit, that, when you was telling the tale, because I wanted to know everything about you.
Right.
Well, you know, I would imagine you did as well. Wow.
In a way, and not. I mean, I feel that I could remember things that I could go and check out, but I've never had the desire to.
Yeah.
It's always felt so real that I don't feel like I need to prove it to anybody.
Oh, no, I didn't mean like that. I meant...
right.
Yeah, no, you should never have to, because they're your memories. They're yours.
Yeah.
They had a deep impact on your life. It's just moving. It just moved me. It was like, I wanted to know what his favourite food was and what music he liked to listen to and what books he liked to read. You know, as a person.
I think I'd like to know that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I sort of look similar, which is odd, but I've read about that in other people's past lives as well, that they've been regressed and noticed that they kind of look similar. And
it's just incredible. It's the idea that you can, I mean, obviously you know what's happening with my dad at the moment, so it's on my mind a lot, that reincarnation and life and what's going to happen to him when he passes over. And we had a little chat about it, and I said to him, the way I kind of think about it, Dad, I think you get several do-overs. I think there's a time in yourself where you think, no, I want to settle now, I'm at rest, I don't want to keep coming back. But you can go through, I don't know if you feel the same like that, you can go through many learning processes, but till we get to the one where we're settled and we're happy and we're like, right, I'm staying as this energy as I am at the moment, kind of thing. Just the way my brain works, in all honesty. But
that's how I believe it is.
Yeah. It's an infinite you, isn't it? That no matter how your face changes or your body changes or your life changes, that inner you is always there. So the fact that you carry that forward with you, I find that very comforting.
Yeah, and that's unusual. I mean, it does happen, but it's not that many people. I mean, not that I feel in any way different or special for that. No. Just because for me, it's normal.
Yeah.
But it does. Yeah, it's often, it felt like I was so determined not to forget that I just hung on to that energy somehow.
Yeah. But you also hear...
I've always... Sorry.
No, it's me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have interrupted you. I was going to say, you do hear of people, don't you, that have scars in places that where in their past life they were injured, and it's more than just a memory, isn't it? For some people, they actually have... Yes. Some people have fear of water, and they find out that they drowned in the previous life, and it suddenly makes sense and clogs.
That's happened to me. I still can get nervous with water, and I do remember dying as a boy in a boating accident in a river as well.
Wow. So how many can you remember, Warren? Because
a few. I'm not sure. Tiny bits. Generally, of the other ones.
Yeah.
But maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah. I think that's. I've heard that before with other people. I'm just thinking when I speak to Susie and I speak to people like that, they say that 1 or 2 of the lifetimes are very easy to pull the memories from, and others it's just like little snippets from. Sometimes like a little clip of a dream, or a smell will remind them of something, or a taste will take them back somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, deja vu is often kind of, I think, is just kind of, it's like a memory.
Yeah.
really.
Most definitely. But you've also, how do I say that? You like me, you've always been able to see faces in things, haven't you? You see kind of...
I do all the time. They tend to be ape-men faces, but yeah.
Same for me. And I know...
I see them in the carpet, I see them,
Yeah, I do.
all over the place.
And knots of wood in the fence, and I just think... You know, I know all about pareidolia. No one knows better about pareidolia than me. I'm not talking about that. I mean, I'm talking legitimately that some things will merge into a face of an ape-man for me. It might be because that's what I'm comfortable with. And that's what I see. I don't really know any other way to put it, kind of thing. I've had a strange life like you. But I think I don't know how do I get this into the right way? Your memories are your experiences are much deeper than mine. You have a better understanding of it, I think, than I. I am so new to it, Warren, that you understand about energy and people and just the whole 9 yards. You've always been like that, haven't you? It's been second nature to you.
Yeah, very much. I was going to say just now about, I believe that talent, especially people with talents where they just seem to pick something up really quickly and easily, I think that's an inheritance from a past life.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. You know, my mum told me, unlike most very small children, when they first pick up a crayon, they hold it kind of, you know, not like you do as an adult.
Yeah.
Because it's quite difficult to hold. Apparently I never did that. I held it like I was already an artist.
And you pull the soul out of people. When you paint or draw or sketch, there's soul within it. I've said it to you before, haven't I, when you did the...
Yeah, you have. It's a very nice compliment.
It's as if you can feel what that painting or picture is trying to convey to people. That's your skill. Because I know you're very musical as well, but your art is to me, is a gift. Because no matter what you draw, you can see life within it. It almost comes to life on the paper. Nobody's ever been able to get Nimanu right for me. I know Alex Evans did the photo fit and everything, and it was great, but it was a flat photo fit. And when you drew him, he came alive, and he was less scary to me than in my head, if you get what I mean. It was like...
Yeah, sure.
He gave me a whole new way of looking at him.
Yeah. I think that was kind of... I mean, the image from what I remember was your idea, but I felt like I was kind of drawing him from his point of view.
Yeah.
And how he saw you, rather than, you know, the kind of frightened girl of what the hell is that, you know? Yeah,
it conveys that, doesn't it? You can see that in him.
Yeah.
People who see it will say to me, like, is that you as a child? It's like instantly, you know, and even my grandchildren say, that's your Sasquatch, isn't it now? And I say, yeah, it is, that's my Sasquatch. You gave me the ability to look at him not as a monster, and nobody had done that before. And I suddenly stepped back and thought, this spear's mine. This is mine that I've projected onto him. And every bit of fear I've ever had, I've chucked in that fear basket, and it's always been his fault. And when you look at the picture, you think, all he actually did, Deb, was look at you. At the end of the day. And that never clicked in my mind until you did that picture for me. And now here I am talking about the spiritual, because it was that talking to you about the things that were happening to me that I was unsure of. I felt safe coming to you with that. I wouldn't have been able to speak about that to other people, and you really did put my mind at rest. So you were part of the reason that I do what I'm doing today, where I'm talking to other people. Yeah, you had a massive influence on me.
I didn't have any kind of...
Yeah, you did. You gave me the ability to look at him not as a monster, as an actual being. And kind of put me up a little bit. I saw myself as a victim, and then I suddenly thought, well, I'm kind of equal to him in a way. He's as confused as I am, when he must have, been just as confused. And it kind of put me on a level playing field, where I thought, you need to stop hiding, Debbie, and just get out and see what you can find out. So, yeah, that was down to you, that, Warren.
Right. Okay. Well, it's wonderful to bring around something like that, you know, so you've gone from being someone who was scared and, like you said, of being like a victim to understanding his point of view and realising you're both equals, and that's wonderful.
It is. That's what it did for me. But so we get back to you. So you told your mum, and I would imagine, like my mum was always fine with things like that when I told her about the things I was seeing as a kid. But I think your mum might have understood a little bit more, because I was always told it was just dreams, or it was just me imagination, or it was just me being a little bit dramatic. Those kind of things.
Yeah, they're both my parents really fairly open-minded about some stuff. I mean, I know that my mum saw a ghost when my older brother was a baby, and it was my great-grandfather, her grandfather.
Right.
He died not long before then, about a month, I believe, before my older brother was born, and she saw him looking at him in the car. So yeah, she thought he already had some experience of, the unusual herself.
Same for me. My mum was the same. I'll be honest, she used to see relatives, really. It's the only way to put it. My gran did. My gran used to see her dad. If anything bad was going to happen, her dad would come and tell her. And she'd say, "Oh, I've not slept tonight. He's been sat on the end of my bed all night." And that, to me, as a child, it was just normal. But people saw spirit. It was never taboo or anything like that. It was just something that you just talked about. Like, I just presumed other families had strange visitors in the night. And So, getting back to, and I hope you don't mind me asking, but you, not only can you draw, you can actually see, what do they call it, Warren? Is it when you can see other places and draw them without actually visiting them? How do you do that?
Well, actually, it's kind of several different ways and several different things. I mean, I've loosely, when I've talked about it in one of the groups on Facebook, I've called it remote viewing.
Yeah.
But there's kind of, over the years, I learned a few different ways to do it. And sometimes it happens in very different ways as well. And I think, really, if I start the story back when I was about 13 or 14, and I'd gone to bed one night, everything normal, was laying in bed waiting to fall asleep, and I became aware that I could no longer sense my breathing or any heartbeat or anything. I felt different.
Yeah.
And I noticed I was floating towards the ceiling and even started to go through it. And that put me in a real panic.
Yeah.
And the panic pulled me straight back into my body.
Yeah.
And I thought I was dying, And I didn't sleep for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
And when I was in primary, I was always interested in unusual things, but I'd never read about out-of-body experiences, but I had read about near-death experiences, so I thought maybe that's what I'd had, but I couldn't work out, I'm not dying, I don't know what's wrong. Years later, I read about out-of-body experiences and realised it was just one of those, a spontaneous one, and at that age, it's actually fairly common.
Ah, I didn't know that.
I've met quite a few people that have had them around about sort of early teens, where they've just spontaneously gone out of their body when they've been trying to sleep, and that's what that was. So later on, in my late teens, sort of early 20s, I became interested in it, looked into it, and started to try and practice it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would do it through meditation. I would try and see somewhere else, try and visit somewhere else just with my consciousness. And there were other times when I would, it's like a form of astral projection, but instead of onto the astral plane, I know it as etheric projection, so I'm projecting a kind of subtle body, which is like a replica of my physical body, but it's not physical, onto the normal waking day plane that we live in.
Right.
To just venture around and see what I can see. And sometimes I would do that through lucid dreaming, so I would have already fallen asleep and then become aware that I'm actually having a dream and that I'm asleep in bed, which then gives me the control, and I can then kind of venture out of the bedroom and go wherever.
Oh, that's cool. I'd love to be able to do that, Warren. But I would imagine, as a small child, that was quite terrifying.
When I was 13, when that happened, absolutely. That's why I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I didn't know what was going on. I was terrified.
I mean, understandably. I mean, and how do you explain that to somebody? How do you say to somebody that this has happened?
I know I did. I even remember telling my nan. They were sympathetic. I don't think they really had any experiences to kind of give any advice on it. But, yeah.
So have you say that you can go places. I mean, I've experienced it myself now. Nothing like that as a child. It's only from probably in about the last 4 or 5 years that I've kind of fully opened myself, and it was just learn to meditate, Deb, and switch your brain off, and that's kind of when it started for me. And it was when I saw Nimanu in light. I saw him in like a light form, and I was suddenly in I was in a forest, and I could see it and I could feel it, and I was there, and it was only instantly before my war, and it was probably like 1, 2, 3, and I was right back in my body, but I knew it was real. I knew where I'd been was real. It was a real place. It wasn't a daydream or anything like that. And then I willed it to happen, and it just, when you will it, it doesn't, you kind of stop it from happening, don't you? And I'm kind of stuck at that stage now. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of what stops us doing it is our brains getting in the way, our thinking and our, worrying and our judging ourselves and is this real, isn't this real, all that stuff. That's what I found, that it was more effective for me to do it once I'd gotten to a stage where I'm practically asleep, but my mind's still awake, and then you can just kind of get around all that stuff that stops it happening.
Because there'll be people out there, there'll be others out there that are experiencing it and are unsure of what they're experiencing, or who want to try and relax down and try it for themselves. It might be, have you got any advice on that? How do you do it yourself? I know you said you got a few ways, but is it all about relaxing your brain down?
You certainly want to bypass all the stuff that stops it happening, which is, is all the thinking, and all the judging, all the kind of that kind of stuff. You don't even these days. It's wonderful the things they discover. You don't even need to meditate for years on end to become a really good meditator. You can now just listen to something that's called binaural beats. Where you can just YouTube it and listen to it in headphones, and you will go into a deep meditation. It will make the left side and the right side of your brain balance out, and you will go into a meditation even if you've never done it before.
Well, that's good. That's good advice. I've written that down. I'm gonna. I will definitely be giving that a try, Warren.
It's really good.
It for me, it kind of changed my perspective of the world. I suddenly realised that we weren't in this 3D plane, and all of that's new to me. It's still trying to understand and get my brain all that, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, because there are other people out there who are kind of struggling with things that they're experiencing at home, or for me, like you say, just before I go to sleep, or if I'm incredibly relaxed in the bath, or that's when it kind of happens. And it was worrying at first. I thought I was going mental. I honestly thought, oh God, it's something to do with the change or something like that. You talked myself out of it month after month after month, and I know there's a lot of people doing the same thing out there.
Yeah, and I think we're trained to do that, to be honest. I think, society, that's what it would have us do. We've been given beliefs since as early as we, could take them on board. And that's going to be hard to shift. But I think just accepting that that's just, the way to really, to have those experiences and not judge them is to just accept that your mind is going to judge them, because we've been kind of conditioned to do that. Just go, oh, just ignore that voice. That's just, it's just insecure. It doesn't know. It's just scared. There's just a bit of fear. But we're not in harm's way, and everything's going to be fine, and let's just see what comes up. Yeah,
that's it, isn't it? It's trying to get away from that fear and just, I say it all the time, don't I? Just trust your gut. Just go with your gut, and normally you're never wrong. As long as you follow your gut instinct, then you're going to be fine. And it's not only is it mind opening, it's beneficial to the body as well, isn't it?
Absolutely can be. Yeah. I mean, some people say that astral projection can be dangerous and stuff. Maybe that's true. I don't know.
If you've not had that experience with it, then I can't think of anyone I've spoken to that's had a bad experience doing it. I'll be honest. And most of the people that you talk to, it's life-changing for them. Because you start to view the world in another way, don't you? You can't become open to a lot more things, I think. Well, I have. I mean, I've got to say for me, I have. Yeah.
I would say, I did lucid dreaming almost every night, sometimes more than once a night, for years. And I found that the dreams would get more and more nightmarish. But I actually liked that in a way because I would learn more things.
Right. Go a little bit deeper into that if you don't mind.
It's the same kind of thing would pop into my dreams. When I was in a lucid dream, so I'm controlling the dream. I'm aware I'm asleep.
Yeah.
And that I'm having a dream, which gives me some control over it. Quite often, it would always be a man, always with sunglasses on and dressed like the classic kind of man in black.
Yeah.
Would pop up in the dream and do something that would frighten the life out of me. Usually pointing a gun at me.
Right.
And what I found that did was I would then find a way of how to deal with that. So, I would fly in dreams to get away from them.
Right.
And they would start flying, so I would have to learn something else to kind of... And it was always kind of like this cat and mouse game where I was just learning more and more how to do things in my dreaming.
Yeah.
To deal with these people that kept popping in and frightening the life out of me in the dream.
I get that. I understand that. That's like me and my wolf dreams. I've had terrible, terrible wolf dreams most of my life.
Right.
Where similar thing. I can't fly. I've never been able to fly. My daughter can fly in a dream. I can't. But similar. I'm incredibly athletic in my dreams. Let's put it that way. And it's like a problem-solving thing. You have to work out how I can get away from them. There's always this rushing, dirty, horrid water that's between me and safety, and I have to cross it, and I have to come up with more and more elaborate plans on how I will solve that problem of getting to the other side.
Right.
The brain
it opens up this kind of learning, doesn't
it? Yeah. This problem solving. I didn't know I had that ability. I didn't know I had that strength. Kind of reasoning with it, within your mind, kind of thing. See, most people are similar, aren't they? And you don't realise until they start to talk. There'll be people out there listening to this now going, that is exactly the same for me, or I was exactly the same at 13, and that happened. I hear it all the time. The Men in Black thing, that doesn't just come up with the UFO witnesses, it comes up with the Dogman witnesses, the Bigfoot witnesses, people seeing lights. There's usually two of them. All within a suit, isn't it? All in black with the eyeglasses and the trilby hat. Get mentioned over and over and over.
Yeah. And sometimes they don't look very kind of human either. They can look quite odd. From what I've read,
Like one of the witnesses described them to me. She said, when I was in my teens, I used to take LSD. And sometimes when you take LSD, you see an image and it just slightly moves out of focus a little bit. And she said it was like that. It was like they had human faces, but they were just slightly off. And that kind of scared her more than the actual... The story behind it is, she saw them near a standing stone. Not the Men in Black, I should reiterate. She saw what we would classically call the British wild man, a tall, upright, hairy, elusive figure that walked off into the trees. And she basically, at home, about 3 days later, saw a very large black cat in the back of the garden, and the dogs reacted to it. And at the same time the dogs reacted to it, the front door went. She opens the front door and these two gentlemen, and she said they were incredibly tall and slender, and they were in suits, and they had the typical Men in Black look about them, and their faces kind of slid a little way, and they didn't say anything to her. And she shut the door, and when she opened the door again, they were gone. But she said they wouldn't have had enough time to get down the path to go. But they were not there, they were gone. You know?
Yeah. I do suspect that they are interdimensional beings as well, the Men in Black.
Yeah, we are programmed to think that they are just work for the government, or they've just been sent by this government body kind of thing. It's a little like Paul and his strange phone calls. Did Paul Sinclair ever tell you that tale about he bought Paul has no tech. Let me get it. And he bought 2 Motorola phones from the shop for him and his wife. And before they put the SIM cards in and everything, and he said, you remember in the old days you had to do a 16-hour charge and all this. They'd done that, they'd never used them, and I probably get it the wrong right way around, but I think it was his wife that got the phone call the first time. It actually rang on her phone, did not give the telephone numbers to anybody, and there was nobody on the other end of the phone. And they were actually looking at a field where a report had been made down in Yorkshire. And that phone call ended, and the next thing, Paul's phone rang. But they bought the phones together in the same shop just that afternoon, and they hadn't given the telephone numbers to anybody. Just, era, isn't it? It's when you think about it, that's kind of worrying. But yeah, have you ever read anything like that? Anything that on our plane that's made you think, hang on a minute?
Yeah, like glitches in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I often forget them, though. It's so weird. It's like they're not really important to me in some way. I remember one time I was gone shopping with my sister and my mother, and my mother's phone was going off in her bag. And, no, so I've got it wrong. It's my sister's phone was going off in her bag, and she got it out, and she said, Mum, your phone's phoning mine. And my mum said, it can't be. My phone's off. And she checked her phone, and it was off.
Right.
And I thought, what was that about? That kind of thing, it happens a lot, and then I just forget about it. It's strange.
I think we all have little moments like that, don't we? Like this, kind of like we zap in and out sometimes. I've got to be honest. I know for me it stopped in my teens. I think the fear that at 15, the fear of seeing him shut me down, and I was shut down way into my 40s. So it's different for me. It's been fluid for you, hasn't it? It's been an ongoing thing since your teens, really. Probably because...
I mean, I've not
you've not
seen, a wild man like that. My experiences of them on when I'm awake, if you like. They're not of my waking day consciousness.
Yeah.
They've been with my exploration, my, remote viewing stuff.
Yeah.
I remember one scary experience that I had that did frighten me, because I was doing this, I was asleep, and I knew it, and I was dreaming, and decided I'm going to wander out of my body, and I'm going to go around the town, and I went to, I won't say exactly where it was, but I went to this building where I went inside. I was actually, even though I knew that no one should be able to see me because I'm not in a physical form.
Yeah.
I was worried about walking through the door, and I waited there until someone opened the door, and I walked in. And I walked in, and I sat on a chair in there, and I'd never been in this building before. And I was shocked that when I sat on this chair, it made a noise like I'd actually sat on it. It was a soft kind of soft armchair thing. And when I sat on it, it made the noise of someone actually sitting on the chair. And then this man asked me if I would help him carry a table. And that frightened the life out of me, because I knew I wasn't really there in physical form.
But
and that jolted me straight back into my body. And years later, I decided to go and have a look in that building, and I saw that exact same chair where I sat on it. I thought, oh my God, this is real. This is real.
It is real. Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's incredible, isn't it? He must have been
able... must have seen some ghost that he asked to carry a table with him, and all of a sudden he's gone.
So you to him would have been flesh and blood.
Yeah.
So, there is the possibility
That's the other weird thing. I've been seen in 2 places at once.
Exactly that. That's what I was going to say. I honestly think that some people can move in and out of a flesh and blood state. So when people say to me, the wild man's definitely this or the wild man's definitely that, that's why I always have this thing of, well, we just don't know. Because ordinary human beings can do some extraordinary things.
Yeah.
And there must be an inbuilt ability, Warren. It must be something within us that enables us to do these kind of doppelganger you know, or the astral travel, all of it.
I believe it's an innate ability in everybody. We're all human beings. It's just makes sense.
I do. I think it's like some people are really, really good at crafts, and other people are really, really good at athletics. Some people are really, really good at their brain being able to do what most of us have forgotten, myself included. I think it's the more you work on it, it's like anything, it's practice, isn't it? The more you do it, the better you get it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Some people are more natural with certain things than others. It doesn't mean that those people that aren't natural can't do it. Anyone can learn to draw better.
Yes, exactly. And it's the same with opening your mind, isn't it?
But everyone can improve. Everyone can.
Yeah, I really do believe that. I honestly think that it used to drive me crazy. The why me? Why did I have to see him? If I hadn't seen him, my entire life would be different. And then I just suddenly thought, well, maybe it was just because I could. And obviously she could because she was with me. We saw him. But that doesn't mean that he was flesh and blood. It means that he looked flesh and blood to me and to her. It's very confused in my mind, but I cannot clamp down to this ability that they are just an ape or they're just this subspecies that has managed to hide. I cannot get my mind to settle on that because they have these amazing abilities. And I've seen them with my own eyes, you know? And you can't ever prove what you've seen. And I've given up trying now. But for myself, I want a bit of understanding. If you get, well, obviously you understand. You'll understand better.
I think we all do, really.
Yeah. That's it.
Sorry?
No, that's it, isn't it? It's just to know more. You just want to know more, really, about.
It's very similar in the big cat world as well. There's lots of accounts of them being more than just a big cat, you know, doing very strange things, disappearing and just behaving in a way that you wouldn't expect some feral or wild cat to behave.
Exactly.
You know? And yet they leave all the physical signs. Footprints and scat and hairs and, you know, and dead sheep and dead deer.
All of that.
It's like they're as real as we are physically, and also they're unreal. And I don't know the answer to that.
I don't, and I don't know if it's the area itself that plays into that. You know, like the earth energies and all.
It seems to as well. Yeah.
I think it might be a combination of. There's this theory out there, isn't it? That everything's connected. We are all part of the same thing, and some people can interact with that on different levels. Well, maybe some animals can interact with it. And even the canid ones, the dogmen, I'm not as clued up on that as other people are. But I still take the reports because people report them and they leave sign behind. But they also can do things that to us we would consider magical. But maybe it's just our 21st century brains that see it as magical. You get what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wonder what our ancestors would have made of it all. What they knew, you know?
Yeah, it must have kept you alive back then. That must be what basically kept you from being killed, learning to use these abilities. And it's like is there a selective consciousness? You know, like to speak of Sasquatch, all knowing. Are they all tuned into the same radio station at the same time that they're tuned in on other vibrations wherever they want to be? Maybe it was like that for us humans once. You know?
I suspect that it was, and that for some reason for our survival, we've lost it.
Yeah.
I think it must have been a necessity, otherwise why would we have lost it?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Is it what we could do? I mean, you and your ability to travel in your mind anywhere people could use you in a way like a weapon, couldn't they? Or if they were like a negative, they could use you to spy, or they could use you to do something.
I think people are used like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was just going to get to that.
I don't know if you've heard of super soldiers and that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, remote viewing, it was a military thing, wasn't it? That's where the term even comes from.
Yeah. Well, maybe we didn't lose it. It was turned off by somebody. And people now who have it, who are selective, they're out there like a beacon. It's those that, you're lucky in who you come across first. If you come across someone who's not, how'd I put it? Like, say, of the light kind of thing, someone who would use it for healing or something like that.
Yeah.
If you come across somebody at first that go, well, look at this, I can give you power, I can give you money, I can give you anything you want in the world, and all you've got to do is this destructive thing for the next, 50 years or so. Some people have no control over that, do they? Because that's the first people that they come into contact when they actually speak about what they can do. Or, as I've been told, some people are tracked from birth. That the government, shall we call it, in whatever we want to call it, kind of track these. I sound like I'm off my rocker, don't I? But you know what I mean.
No, I know all about this. I've read all about this stuff.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I'm not sure if I'm involved with it or not as well.
You've had some strange
experiences I've had.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking, I think. Because you've had to kind of fight to stay on the side of good, really, haven't you? In a way, it's. Do you get what I mean?
That's what I think. Yeah, I mean, I feel that's the deepest part of me. That's what I am anyway. Luckily, naturally, just just a decent soul. I don't. I'm sure that they have ways of corrupting people to get what they want.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
But there is others out there. There's it went a little bit dark there. But the thing being is, there are people like you who won't let that happen to them. So there's always a plus side to something, isn't there? To any negative, there's always a positive. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So
I think you can find positives in everything.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly that. And you're that type of person that you can find a positive. You find a rainbow in a rainstorm, as they say. That's what my mum always used to say about me. If you can find a positive in something and find a lot of people who had the similar background to you would find it really hard to put the foot out the door most days. And you have what most people would consider a very happy, normal life, don't you? But you must be quite a strong person, because there's a lot of people where they've gone through similar things to you, and it's just been impossible for them to get on with life, kind of thing. Yeah, I think even I'm a victim of that in a way. Yeah.
Right. I know I'm very resilient. I don't feel strong. And then I don't know. Maybe I'm strong and I don't feel it.
Yeah.
I do have a very stressful life, but I love life. I have a beautiful son. I have a good life.
Yeah, that comes across. I think I shut the door for a long time because I just thought, well, if that's real, what else is real? I wish I'd have met you when I was in my teens, because then it would have been, I'd have found somebody that could say, well, hang on, you're just looking at the dark side of it. You're not giving the light side of it a fair shot, really. You've already put it in the box and labelled it, Debbie. You have to look at it in a different way.
Yeah, and I've done that as well. I've been down that path. I was just wondering if I should talk about some of the experiences I've had that seem to be connected with the wild man.
It's up to you. That is entirely up to you. Whatever you're.
Through the remote viewing.
Just what you're comfortable with.
I don't know what the first one was. I think desire has a lot to do with this sometimes, because sometimes it can be quite spontaneous. And I've been interested in. I remember I was about 4 or 5 years old, and we brought our first video player. I think it was 1979, and one of the first videos we hired was a documentary. Half of it was about the Loch Ness Monster, and the other half was about this creature I've never heard of called Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And it absolutely fascinated me. And I watched it as many times as I could before it got returned 2 days later,
Yeah.
And then I was obsessed with him still am. And wanted to know everything I could find out about them. And I think that desire played a part once I started doing this remote viewing thing.
Yeah.
In some of the things where I would just spontaneously find myself experiencing something to do with that. One of them was a very basic kind of one, and I had the feeling, sometimes it's the intuition tells me where I am or what's going on.
Yeah.
And the feeling, it may have been the first one, I'm not sure, but it was a simple one. It was just orchard. I'm pretty sure it was in the Mendips in Somerset, and there was a man and a woman talking about some things they discovered. They discovered some bare footprints in the mud in their orchard, very large ones, and they'd also discovered that some of the apples still on the tree had bites out of them.
Oh, that's
like a human bite.
Yeah.
I remember witnessing this, like I was really there. And I think my desire was, pointing me towards some evidence because I wanted to know. That was... another time, this is another technique that I discovered, is that sometimes, this might sound really weird, I found that I'm inside somebody else looking through their eyes. And in this instance, I knew that I was in the body of a woman. And we'd gotten into a large helicopter in a military enclosure that I feel was Russia.
Right.
Also, I was later able to kind of look at how their places that they have dotted around Siberia and what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked just very similar to what I saw. There were buildings that were sort of similar to a caravan that were on stilts. And I'd never seen that before, but I've seen since that they do have those, and I know why. And it's because of the permafrost.
Yeah, it's like a porta
they have
cabin.
A kitchen in one of those little buildings. It will sink into the permafrost one side, so they have them on stilts.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that was real. And we get in this large helicopter, and there's quite a few people getting in. There's a good 4 or 5 people in. And I was worried because I was in someone else's body in a country I don't know and I don't speak the language. I just kept staring out the window because I didn't want anyone to talk to me because I don't know how to reply.
Exactly.
We flew for a long time, and the hills felt like they were getting higher and higher, and the sky felt like it was getting lower and lower. Maybe that's what it feels like when you're flying over. I've never been in a helicopter or flown over mountains. And they obviously knew where they were going. Wow. And when they started to come down to land, I could see what they were looking for and what they'd found. And there was a big wild man face down next to a stream, and it was obvious that he was dead. Although not dead for a long time, I should have thought either. I can't remember seeing a wound, but just you don't lie in that position if you're not, if you're just asleep. And I think that they were there to pick him up, and that's where that experience ended. But it was absolutely as real as being awake and talking to you now. And another one was when I felt that I was in a military building in Russia, and what I felt was like the hospital section.
Yeah.
And there was a room where someone could be locked in but observed through a large window, and there was a couple of guys watching this very young-looking wild man that was sat on the floor with his hands on his knees, looking depressed.
And that seems it's heartbreaking, isn't it? It's absolutely heartbreaking. But in a way, speaking about it and getting it out there will get people questioning and saying, how many times has this happened? How they must have knew Warren. To get to him that quickly, there must be surveillance of some kind going on. It's just heartbreaking, isn't it? See, that's a sad thing about what you do, isn't it? You have no control over that in a way, but in another way, the fact that you've seen it and that you can voice it to people, it's incredibly moving. And I hope that it gets people asking questions, because we need more people talking about this. It's okay, doing all the accounts that people like and everything, but there are government bodies out there that you're not the only person to speak about this. Other people will know of others, because I know a couple of other people that have spoken about this. Mount Washington, for instance, there were bodies that were taken from that eruption, weren't they? And and
Mountain Adams,
so it must be, to me, we can get into a million reasons of why they don't want us to know that they're out there. But more importantly, it's the fact that they mustn't be able to stop them, or they would have eradicated them by now, wouldn't they? They must have, if they had the power to get rid of them, they would be eradicated. So they're elusive, aren't they? Maybe it's just that, I don't know. But it's once people realise that it's true, humanity and everything tips on its head, doesn't it? And there's no denying that we've been lied to. And if we've been lied to about this, what else have we been lied to? So it's a rock that they cannot let fall, isn't it? It's got to be. This is ridiculous, and we'll just ridicule you if you come out and you talk about it. But then there's the real side of it that you've just discussed. That how many others are there sat in a room? You know, at the end of the day, there must be thousands of them.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's just frightening, isn't it? It's Russia. I can understand because it's Siberia, isn't it? And it's going to happen in America. And probably if it's happening in America, it's happening in Japan. And when you start looking at it like that, and then you've got that report of the one in the Barties on Dartmoor.
Yeah.
So there are cases of it reported in the UK as well, and you think, well, they start adding up. I think that's how my brain works, really. It's just like, how many other cases are there? If you know of anyone out there, if anyone's listening and they know a similar experience to what me and Warren are talking about, give us a shout, get in touch and give us a shout, and me and Warren will come back on and we'll have a chat about it, and we'll see how many other people have had similar experiences out there, and see if we can do something to start a change. That's probably a good thing, isn't it, Warren? We'll start getting it discussed.
Yeah, gotta be. Yeah.
So have you had any other experiences with them in remote viewing?
I think those were the only three. I can't remember another one at the moment. No, I remember a long time ago I had a dream, and it was just a dream, of an old lady, and it was somewhere in England, and she lived in the hills in quite a remote house.
Yeah.
And she had a wild man that would visit her and even come into her house, into her dining room, and she would give him food. But it was just a dream. And I remember I was probably in my teens when I had that dream. And I always wondered, I wonder if there's anything real's gone on like that out there.
Did she have pattern curtains?
I don't remember. I remember in the dream what the dining table looked like. And he would come into the dining room and take some food. And she didn't feel any fear towards him at all. He'd become friendly, kind of.
Yeah. Was he brown? Very brown?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. I'll speak to you about it after when we're not. But I knew instantly who you meant then when you said that. Wow, that's thrown me, that, Warren.
Right.
Well, we'll speak about that at another time online, but I will definitely chat to you. So don't go away when I end the recording. I actually know who you mean. All the heckles have gone up on the back of my neck. Has that ever happened to you before, when you've spoken about a place and somebody's suddenly gone, I think I know who you...
That does happen.
Yeah, probably so. Wow, that's thrown me for a loop, that has. I speak to witness.
Surprised me as well.
A lot of people think I only know whatever's on the map, and it's not. Not everybody goes on the map.
No, I am aware of that.
So I know a number of situations out there where we don't report because it's an area that we watch, and without giving too much away, if we know that there's something there and we don't want somebody running all over it, I just don't release it. I just keep it to myself, and I usually just choose one researcher, normally Stu or Andy or Chris, and they'll go out and see to that situation. So you just stunned me when you said it, and I just thought, I think I know what he means. Yeah, because and I'll tell you why afterwards, and I can say this on air. Yeah, that she speaks about somebody coming into her home and seeing her with him and being. She said, I should have been incredibly frightened, and I wasn't. And I think she's kind of put it down to spirit, because she's always been able to see spirit. And it was just when you said it, that was instantly what came into my mind. And I just thought, oh, because I have this theory sometimes that we're all each other's ghosts, in a way. That some people who can pop in and out of, like you, that can travel, can be seen in somebody's living room and they think, oh, that's a ghost. But it's not. It's somebody, projecting the self. And it just, the situation just kind of tied together, and it was just like, oh, I know a situation.
I'm glad I brought that one up.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I will. I'll have a chat to you. And everyone who's out there saying, oh, tell us more. I will ask her if I can tell you more. And if she says yeah, then I will. And she more than likely will, because she shares everything. She's not bad. So, yeah, I will. When me and Warren have finished speaking, I will go and have a chat with her and say, is it okay if I talk about it online? And we will. So, yeah. Ooh. My heart's beating out of my chest. It was really strange, that. But, yeah. Wow, you throw me for a loop, Warren. But that probably happens to you a lot, I would imagine. Yeah, where people say, oh...
I wouldn't say a lot, but it has. Yeah, it has happened. I mean, we're still rolling?
Yeah,
time?
Yeah.
There was a woman I used to know who, she was kind of a bit of a medium. She was quite spiritual, quite psychic. She once told me the 5 strangest things that ever happened in her life.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember all of them. I can remember 3 of them. And when I was so surprised that one of them included me, because we didn't really know each other very well. I just kind of knew her from the pub. And this is when I was in my early 20s. And she was much older than me. And she was telling me about, I remember I'd been chatting with her in the beer garden of this pub on a sunny day. And she'd left early and was walking home down a country lane where there's hardly ever see anybody, and there's no houses and no cars.
Yeah.
And she said she just left the pub, she was walking down this country lane just seconds before finished chatting to me, and then all of a sudden, there I am in this country lane, and apparently laughing at her. And she felt absolutely shocked and in fear.
Wow.
And she wanted to cover up her face so that she couldn't see me, and just kept walking. And I wasn't expecting her to tell me this at all. I had no idea it happened.
Wow.
And that's happened so many times.
And you just haven't known that. It might be when your brain's on something else and another part of your brain is visiting people.
It's almost like I've practiced a lot from my teens onwards with projecting this.
Yeah.
My double, my other self, and he's taken on a life of his own a bit. That seems to be what's happened.
That is a really interesting thing to raise, isn't it? Is that possible?
Well, I mean, the Tibetan, certainly Tibetan monks used to teach something along those lines. I've read. There was a woman, I can't remember, a British woman, I believe, went and stayed in Tibet a long time ago and wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
She tried this method where they kind of created a monk in her mind that took on a life of its own, and people were reporting seeing him and him doing things, and she had to dissolve it because he was so mischievous.
Wow. I remember an old experiment in the UK. I can't remember what programme it was, and they went to like a haunted abbey, and they kind of did a Ouija board, and it was a social experiment. They weren't told about it, and it was rigged so that the name Philip would come up, and he was this ghost, and doing this Ouija board each week, they would come up with where he lived, what his past life was like, how he died, and then they started to see Philip at home. So they kind of generated this ghost. Then visitors that went to the site would also report seeing Philip. And it was this kind of, to see if it was possible, because some people say that's what Bigfoot is. It's like a social want. People put so much energy into it, it actually projects a Bigfoot, and that's what we see. It's one of the theories out there, you know?
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I remember the Philip the Ghost thing, because I remember it was only young, so I would say it was probably late 70s, something like that. And it kind of stayed with me years, because one of the things people used to say to me was that I'd hallucinated him. And I thought, well, I didn't know about Bigfoot before that. I hadn't seen the Patty film. I was probably reading Jackie comics or something like that. I wasn't really into cryptids or anything like that. I had no knowledge of it at all. So I can't say that I knew about it and then I projected this image and that's what I've seen, because I didn't. I had no knowledge of it at all. Like, you would have no knowledge of a wild man in Siberia, but you knew what he was when you saw him. You knew instantly, didn't you? Yeah. It's just, maybe it's knowledge that's locked inside us. Maybe I'm not really, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure I buy, I mean, not that I don't believe in thought forms like that, but I'm not sure that's, for me, the answer to the wild man.
No,
I mean,
I
your
don't.
friend saw the same thing.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's just one of the ones that the skeptics throw at us. It's it's like some of them will be misidentifications. We have to take that into account. I mean, in all honesty, some of them could be. That's why I collect ghost reports, the invisibles, everything, because I think we've got to have a really wide net, haven't we? And it's only by talking about Bigfoot that then I'll say to people, you know, that's happened. Has anything else ever strange happened to you? And it's then that they'll go, well, actually, and that's when the other stories start to come out. And it tends to be people that either have experience with spirit or out-of-body experiences like yourself, or they have this strange way with animals that they tend to kind of communicate with an animal in some way, or a mixture of all three, or just kind of like lone wolves where they haven't really felt they kind of fitted their own skin in the 21st century. They often say to me, oh, take me out and put me in a forest somewhere, and I'm absolutely fine. It's just the 21st century that doesn't work for me. I just think that some people still have an older brain, is how I kind of put it. Does that make any sense to you?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just something I've noticed when I speak to witnesses or I speak to people who've experienced something. That's normally one of the things that I'll ask them. I'll say, right, well, which one is it? Do you work with energy? And they'll say, oh, I'm a healer, or oh, yeah, I do Reiki, or...
I've just started training as a spiritual healer.
So it just, over and over again, the same thing applies. And it's like, because you understand intent. So I know when you do your research, you think about where you're going and you put your intent out there like I do before I go. And you've had some incredibly personal sign that have been left for you, yeah? And when I try to...
like they can see into my home and what I'm doing in my life.
And I try and explain that to people on the outside, and it terrifies them. And I'll say, it's not a bad thing. They're not... I'll give you, for instance, and I'm not going to name names, but there's a lady who's just getting used to all of this, and she found white feathers, and it terrified her. She was really, really scared. And I said to her, I don't know any case with anyone that's found white feathers where it's gone bad. It's normally, I follow them in my wood when I find them, and it normally leads me where I need to be. And for each of us, it's some people it's stones, isn't it? Other people it's shell. It seems to be these personal little messages that are left. I don't see any violence in that.
No. Maybe it's just because it's new time.
I think that's what it is.
It's the unknown. Yeah.
I think it's...
I think feathers are generally a sign of something good.
And I think that's what it is. It's because it's not out there. It's not something you can Google, is it? You can't, I'm finding strange things at home and I'm really, really worried because there is a lot of misinformation out there about attacks and what will happen to you and all of this. And the biggest thing that I do is saying to people, I used to be like that, but believe me, you can go back into the woods. You're gonna be fine. No harm's gonna... How many times have you been in the wood on your own?
I only ever go on my own.
Exactly, and we go over...
And I've been in the woods, in the dark on my own many times.
We do, don't we? We do it over and over and over and over again. And they could have got us at any point that they wanted to.
Yeah, easily.
But what they tend to do is try and communicate to the point that we're even starting to work out that these sticks that are pushed into the ground are in the actual nodes along the ley line. So
I always suspected things along those lines, yeah. What I find fascinating is that they're really kind of happy to leave lots of very obvious signs, and yet who are also very elusive and don't want to be seen.
I think
It's like almost opposing kind of things going on there.
They're so in your face that you don't see them. It's almost like not seeing the wood for the trees.
Yeah.
Nobody looks at sticks on the ground, not a person. But unless you are a Bigfoot researcher, and then you start to notice hang on a minute, it's those hang on a minute moments that make you look at things and you think, no. And you mess with it and you come back the week after and it's back to the way, and you think, hang on a minute. It's not many people doing that, Warren. There aren't many people, A, going to the woods for starters, and B, getting to know that area like the back of the hand, so that you notice little subtle... You had a fantastic idea, and I honestly think in Salford it might be happening, you know. You said, what if at night they just disguise themselves as humans and come in? So there's none of that trickery. They just come into town and then they go back out of town. And I thought, you know what, that might just be the simplest answer, that maybe they do. Maybe
that was another dream I had, actually.
Was it?
Well, I had a dream where somehow I found out that a wild woman, and her two young were stealing clothes and gardens and stuff and dressing up like they were homeless people and just raiding bins and stuff in towns. People just didn't suspect.
Because we walk around.
And I tried chasing one of the younger ones in the dream. I was even on a bicycle, but I couldn't get anywhere near him.
Right. But what if it's just something as simple as that? That we don't see them because they are right under our noses, and we just don't look anymore. You know, like me hiding in the bushes at Iceland. I did
wonder things like that at times, I must say.
I mean, I did. I hid in the rhododendrons. I just wanted to see if people had seen me, and I had my waterproofs on, and they're really bright, and nobody saw me. And dogs went past me, and I just sat in the rhododendron bush, and nothing.
I thought dogs would be able to pick up on my scent, and I've just stood in bushes, and people have walked past with their dogs, and they didn't know I was there.
Exactly the same for me. I remember.
I've been bathing and I've been putting deodorant on, all these things, and you'd think I'd be easy to pick up for the dog, but no.
Yeah, well, you'd think, wouldn't you? Yeah, I always think that, because I think, well, I've got dogs myself, so you'd think, like they'd smell, but no, nothing. Oh, I don't know if it was the rhododendron bush itself that does it, or just generally, but I've done it in a number of places now. Silly, innit? But I wanted to, like, summer, spring, autumn, winter, I wanted to see, so I put my brightest clothes on that I can, and I don't go like in deep because I can't with my bad leg. I just like go 3 steps in. Mark will get me in somewhere, so I'm tiny off the path, and nobody ever sees me, and they just walk past me all the time. And I think when 4 to 5, 6, 7, 8 people have gone past, I think, well, I might as well, it's only 2 minutes, I might as well go. So that's why I say to people, don't worry if it's your local dog walking path, because nobody looks left or right. They just look down the path. The amount of sightings we have, Warren, of people walking their dog is unbelievable. So surely we should be looking in areas where people go and walk the dog. You know?
That's where I find signs.
This is my argument. People will say to me, you have to be in the Peak District, you have to be here. Go on that map and look how many people see them walking their dog. I was just out taking the dog for a walk and the dog reacted. I was just doing this with the dog, and the dog, it's just consistent. So you think, well, they are in areas where people are walking their dogs in the daytime, in the light. Or I wouldn't be getting those reports, would I? They wouldn't be coming in like that.
No.
And that shows a pattern of behaviour. So why not? Why not at dusk and dawn? Nick the odd raincoat, pop it on, go and get what you want, because there's a mass amount of food gets thrown away in a town. And off you go, back to wherever it is you want to be. And people say that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't find that any more ridiculous than somebody going out and looking for a spirit. In all honesty.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
And I think a lot of spirit reports could be them. You hear the running heavy footsteps, the things being thrown, eye shine, whoops and howls and ghostly screams, and I just wonder, like Pluckle, for instance, or not too far from you, Yellowham Woods. those accounts go back to the 14th century of howls and screams. Then they would like be reported as a werewolf or the woodwolf. And in probably from about the 17th century, it then got reported as spirits. So it became ghosts and like spirits and boggarts and elves and things like that. But way back then, whenever it was howls, he never said, "Oh, it's a ghost." He'd say like, "Oh, it's a werewolf," or "It's, you know, it's like the bar guest," or it's something like that. They always had this like crazy name for it, kind of thing. And I just think, how many woods out there that we think are haunted, and actually it's just them moving you on because it's their time to be there and you're in the way.
Yeah, I've been past Yellowham Woods lots of times in the car, and the deer are always on the side of the road, and I always felt that's because that's where they feel safe.
Yeah.
Because in the woods,
what's in there? What is in those woods?
So whatever they're scared of doesn't want to be seen by the car.
Exactly. So that makes me think, well, it's not an animal then, is it? Because an animal wouldn't give a hoot. So it's not a cat they're scared of. What is it? It's something that doesn't want to be seen. So yeah, you're right. Hang about near the road, and they might have learnt that over generations.
Yeah.
You know, it was just in Scotland. It was like that everywhere we went. There was just pheasants walking up as you were taking your boots off. They were just walking up to your feet. There was that many of them. They were not scared of people whatsoever. There was hares everywhere. It was just, I couldn't get over it. And this feels at the back of me one, and so I'm like you. I'm used to it. But up there was just another world entirely, and it felt ancient. You know, I didn't. Do you know that sometimes when you go into the woods and you get that feeling like you really need to be respectful, like you're in somewhere sacred?
Yeah.
It felt like that everywhere we went. It was. I didn't want to leave an imprint, or I didn't want to offend anybody in any way. It had that kind of sacred feeling to it, and it was lovely. It was really, really nice, and it was a different. I don't really know how to explain it. It was just a very spiritual feel. And we were out probably 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, so ideal time, and it was just a lovely feeling being out there at that time. Just in my head I'm thinking, people have walked this land since the year dot, like forever, and how lucky I am to actually be doing this. It was a wonderful thing. Yeah, but we need to get down to Dorset.
Yeah.
That hill. Do you remember the poacher account from the hill?
Sorry, the what account?
What's it called? Oh, it's gone out of my mind. There's a hill and it's near you, not too far from you.
Oh, Duncliffe.
That's the one. There is something about
the family.
Yeah. Is it a barrow by any chance? Do you know if it's an ancient?
I'm not entirely sure what a barrow is, which is a bit embarrassing.
No, is it any kind of, like, how do I explain it? Like an old hill fort. It's normally a mound, and it's just kind of. I was going to say, is it a natural hill or is it man-made?
I think it's natural.
Right.
I think it's natural.
Because I'm wondering if. Yeah. There could be a way of finding out.
I used to do map dowsing.
Yeah.
And I was trying to work out where the local ley lines are. And what I discovered with my dowsing was that 3 or 4 of them meet at the peak of that hill of Duncan.
Right. Well, that was the thing I was going to ask you. I was going to say, they call them like hill forts or barrows, but what it basically is, it's like an earthworks kind. That's not even the right word for it. It's an ancient site, and what we did as humans, we would make them within shouting distance of each other or within a light flashing range of each other. And I'm talking way back. I'd up against this way back, and they work.
It's interesting that you say that, actually.
Yeah, they work along the foraging routes of Britain, and I've started to realise that these sightings actually on them. Hence, I was going to say to you, is there any chance you'd get down there and have a feel of it? But if you've leylined it and, what...
Yeah, I've been to Duncliffe a few times. I haven't been since last summer. Not this summer, summer last year. What's interesting is the closest part to that hill, and I can see it from my town.
Yeah.
The closest kind of part of my town to that is an ancient kind of. They've decided to leave everything under the grass and not dig it up, but they have done before.
Right.
They found old stone axes that are like 400,000 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
As well as there was an old Saxon settlement there as well.
Well, that's fantastic. That means they
the
would...
most interesting thing of all is that is my research area.
Ah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that makes sense to me, because our Saxon sites, Druidic sites, any site like that, the ground would have been sacred for a reason, like Castle Ring at Cannock Chase, like the Bankery Stones with the Scottish sightings. I'm starting to find that any old structure or ring, like at Salisbury, anything like that that's ancient and has this energy peak above it, seems to be an area of strange... Paranormal's probably the wrong word. So you get like the Bigfoot accounts there, UFO accounts, strange lights, ghosts, strange phenomena around these sites. So that's what I was gonna say to you. I wonder if it's an ancient site, and that's why the Duncliffe sighting, because that's one of the rare ones, because there's more than one seen. And what I thought he was describing was a family group.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And so...
Sorry, there's a big structure there. I don't know if it's man-made or not, though, but it's been there for years.
It might just be that the hill has been there. There's one here where I live, and believe it or not, it's a car park of a school. But back then, it was an ancient hill barrow. And we built them on the foraging routes, and it was at that time where we very first settled and became farmers, shall we say. When we stopped being hunter-gatherers and we decided to stay in one place, we built these. Some people say that they're early graves or something like that, but they're always built on where the ley lines are. It's a very spiritual area. I think Amesbury Banks in Epping Forest, they're just everywhere in the UK, Warren. And every single sighting is with them. And I've gone that deep into it, that the ancient barrows, the actual burial barrows, that's where the dogman reports are.
Right.
So, not too far away from you, there's a Drakeglaw tunnels, and it leads down Dorking Deep Dean, and it keeps heading down to, there's a tunnel system that heads down to your area. And there's a
tunnel system under this town that I live in.
And a number of the ancient burial sites were disturbed to make those tunnels.
Right.
So,
right.
So you've got this disturbance of ancient ground, and you've got these sightings of ancient beings, hairy beings, whatever you want to call them, around these sites. And it just seems to be a parallel that keeps popping up over and over and over. Just something strange that I've noticed. But so your area is ideal, and you've had some really good, not evidence, I don't like that word, it's the wrong word. You've had some good interaction down there, haven't you?
Yeah, there's good signs. I found a footprint. I found knuckle prints.
Yeah, you did. I remember that. Yeah, you did, and that's rare.
Signs.
Yeah. There's got to be, this is just me generalising, but there's got to be at least a family group in each area, surely, for them to just be able to keep going. I personally think there's several, and they use certain areas.
I think there's likely a lot more than we imagine there is.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm getting at. I think there's a hell of a lot more than what people think.
And I love that idea as well. That there could be that many out there, and most people would never believe that they're even there.
Yeah, I do.
I love that.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I think I often think, like at night at this time or something, I think, I wonder what they're doing now. I wonder, what kind of thing they do at this time, or what do they do in bad weather, and the things that go through my mind. You probably have all the same questions, I would imagine.
Yeah. My guess would be that they don't consider weather to be good or bad. It's just weather.
It just is. Yeah,
because they live in it all the time. Don't
they?
They?
I think it's that, and it's this
I
strange.
don't know. Maybe they're watching TV through my eyes. I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. They could be, couldn't they? They could just be on another plane altogether. Where do they go in the winter months? Because the sightings drop off around about mid-October, and it doesn't really kick in till about 2 weeks after Christmas, and then it's just dead until about May, June. And then the reports kind of start again. Most people think, because I put the reports out a lot, that we get them consistently. Most of the reports of people remember giving me reports from when they were 21 or when they were 38 or, years gone. Each year you only get probably 3, if I'm lucky, of actual up-to-date, face-to-face reports. And it's very rare that they're in the winter months. And I think, where do they go? Susie actually mapped the old ancient holidays, like Sanheim and Beltane, to the disappearance and them showing back up again. And it was bob on. It's been bob on most years. Which is really strange, isn't it? You know?
That is.
Do they recognise those old holidays? Or those old moon cycles, maybe? I don't know.
They must know some... I mean... I once left a small fossil urchin on a log near a significant structure, and about 5 days later it was gone. And I checked it many times after that, and 1 year later it was back.
Wow.
So they must be aware of, how many days in a year. They must be aware of that is the same time as last year. By the stars or whatever.
They have to.
I can't imagine that, some kid that I've never seen in those woods took it, or even a squirrel or a crow, and put it back the exact same time it went the year before.
No. I've seen it in 2 different places as well. You know where Mary is up in Clodagh? In 2016, she found a triangle. It was February 2016. It was a triangle symbol, and it had another stick underneath. So basically, it looked like the record button on your DVR. It was a triangle with a line underneath. And exactly a year later, in Ballybowler, another researcher sent me the same sign. And it was a triangle with a line underneath. And they were exactly a year apart. Those deer legs always go up around October time. You know the deer legs in the trees, the pictures that we get sent?
Yeah, I've seen those,
Yeah, normally around this time. Normally around the rut. Just strange. How do you put that once a year, every year? People think, what's she talking about? In certain areas of the UK, once a year, yearly, deer legs are hung within the trees and just left hanging there with the skin on and the hoof and everything. Just left hanging in the tree kind of thing. And it happens... there might be a logical reason for it, but we've never found it. We've asked every...
Well, what that suggests to me is that's their culture. On the 5th of November, we have fireworks.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that.
We put Christmas trees up at Christmas. Yeah. That's what they do, and they do it.
Yeah, I think Alison was telling me about one tree, and there were numerous legs within it, as if everybody had hung their leg within it, almost like a Christmas tree kind of thing. And I thought, that's fascinating. Because I just can't see a human doing that. Walking in like that swampy area to get in there, to do that, it just doesn't make sense to me. If it was on easy ground, then it's different. Or if there was a scout camp, 500 yards away, I'd get it. But we're talking about areas where you've got to trek in for like 3 hours. And it just doesn't... Yeah. Most humans won't do that, will they?
No.
They're not going to wade into the middle of Colvin Forest to just hang a leg up just so that somebody's going to see it on the hopes that they'll take a photo of it.
Yeah. On the off chance.
Yeah, exactly that. So I'm like, why is it happening year and year consistently? Chris Turner drives himself mad with these kind of questions. And it's just something we speak about a lot, don't we? As Bigfoot researchers, we do. But paranormal people have the same things. I'll say to them, we get lots of lights, orb lights. Can you see them with your naked eye? Yeah, you can. We get them. And I think, are we all just kind of seeing the same thing and just describing it as something else maybe? And just, I don't really know how to describe it. Like, we see the lights at Colbin, but the UFO people see those strange white lights that you can see in the day. And people in the paranormal can see these strange white lights. And Mary's got them on camera. She's filmed them and taken photographs. Yeah. So...
Yeah. They are connected with all of those things, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got to be. And then you get people at Rendlesham speaking about the lights. Peak District, you hear about that. Todmorden up here where I am. These strange lights that tend to lead people within the wood and they can't keep up with them. Even Derbyshire, the famous... you sent it to me. the Wild Man of Derbyshire on the peaks. That spoke of lights that the villagers followed. I think it was D.L. Sousa who did it. It was,
yeah,
it was definitely you who sent it to me.
One.
And that mentions a wild man. It mentions the police going out looking for them. 60 villagers from the town joined in. There was small lights within the flickering lights in the trees that they could see at night. And they'd follow them and they never got any. There was a structure that we would describe as a structure. Exactly the same.
That's good to see that kind of an old picture of a structure that we'd recognise it today.
Yeah, and Stu Hill had just got one the same year in North East, and so had John. So it was instantly, it was like, I have seen that before, and it was even down to the 3 sticks. It always seems to be 3 for some reason, like the Trinity, and the number 3 appears over and over and over again. And it was, I just thought, Stu's had that this week, and John Chick had that about 2 weeks ago, and I was able to put them together in a slideshow. And that they were 155 years apart, yet we're exactly the same. And, you know, people say to me, this Scouts, it's kids messing about. This was in the middle of the Peak District. They couldn't keep up with it. It went that fast. And they said it went up those rocks and the crags like it was nothing. And the strongest man in the village couldn't keep up with it. It was incredible to think that. And when I looked at it, where that report is what I think it's Chatsworth House. And it fits with the reports that go all the way up to Bowland and all the way down, and you can see it skirt Manchester, as if the accounts go round Manchester, you know, almost like avoiding a town, and then off they go down, and they just head right down south to like Salisbury Plain, and then fan out. So they hit your area and they fan out, and it's always the estuaries where you have huge clusters of them, like kind of together. I don't know why that is, but that seems to be where you get these. You'll get areas where there's lights and there's this and there's that, like Bempton and Medway. You mentioned the Mendips. The Mendips are an incredibly busy area for things like that. Strange occurrences and lights, and I've had a report recently and I've not put it out yet. That's from the Mendips, and it's a man and a woman walking. And because I haven't read it properly, so there's no point me guessing. But that was the Mendips. I'm trying to remember what it was. It's either that or it was a lad on his bike. They come in so quick now, Warren. Until I actually work on him, I don't kind of take them on board. But that was the Mendips, and that's what stood out in my head. Simply because a bushcrafter got in touch with me from there and said that they were filming for YouTube, setting a camp up. Basically, this is how you set a camp up. And something outside of the firelight started throwing pebbles into the camp. And then the pebbles got bigger and they were like small sticks. And then those sticks became like branches. And the next thing it was limbs, you know, as if to say, get away. And he packed up and he left. And he said to me, I thought it was a cat. Because a cat was what I was hunting. And I left food out, like meat out for the cat. So, but a cat can't throw logs at you, can it? And I was like, well, no, they can't, can they?
Right. So was it a big cat he was looking for?
Yeah, he does a lot of work in the Mendips. He's,
Right. I know of big cat sightings in the Mendips, yeah.
Yeah, do you?
The Mendips got lots of caves. Not personally, ones I've read.
Right.
There's lots of, there was Neanderthals used to live there. We know that.
Yeah.
There's lots of old stone axes and things like that.
Yeah.
Stone tools found there. One of the oldest skeletons of a British human was found in the Mendips.
Right.
Cheddar Man.
Yeah, Cheddar Man, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very interesting area.
There was bones found at Cheddar Gorge, and they had human teeth marks on them, the human bones.
Yeah, that's right,
There must have been some kind of cannibalism. But people get horrified at that, but, you know, it's survival, isn't it?
Desperate times, I don't know.
You wouldn't have thought with our brains back then, I don't suppose, you know, it's not the same, is it? We're not having to survive every day, so we can't really judge them for, you know, whatever they needed to do. But it meant that there was colonies there, so they would have been good eating there. Or they wouldn't have settled there, would they? It must have been prime.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And that's why you've had early settlers there. Well, maybe it's still prime today. And that's why so many accounts come from the area. Just, you know, if it worked back then, it might work now. You've got the these freshwater springs because of like the limestone in the chalk bed. Do you get what I mean? There's a lot of freshwater springs, ancient springs down that area. There's a lot of old woods. A lot of places in the UK haven't got what you've got in Dorset. So I'm not surprised that there are cats and wildman being reported down there, because there's enough habitat, regardless of what people think, in that area, and there's masses of food. I mean, you got the Dorset ape. It's one of the oldest Bigfoot accounts in the UK. They talk of the Dorset ape. Now when you think of it, they think you mean like Monkey World or something, but some of the earliest reports of Bigfoots came down from that area. You've got the Dorset caveman. One woman described him as an actual caveman, and she said it looked like he was doing Tai Chi.
Oh, yeah, and there's a picture of him,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sort of on the Devon border. Yeah, by the coast.
All along that cliff, isn't it, down there at the bottom? That's what I'm saying. It kind of spans out at the bottom, like, that seems to, they must either move to that area year in, year out, or there are places within that area where they're there year round, because they like, some areas you get one sighting one and there's never another one ever again. But in other areas like yours, you get them consistently, meaning over hundreds of years. So they were being reported back in the way dot, and they're still being reported now. And this cat DNA come back from down there, and it came back as leopard. So they can't deny anymore that there are leopards roaming around, in Dorset. And well, there's a number, isn't there? Because it kept Devon and Cornwall. That came back as leopard as well. Bengali leopard that came back as. So
I've seen two big cats from a car, and it was only for a couple of seconds, but I know they were very large. They were not normal cats.
Yeah.
That was on the edge of Wareham Forest.
Wow. Where that's another area where there's sighting.
And they've been seen there for, decades.
Yeah. I think Dorset Police were the first police force to actually have a form to be filled out when people make cat reports. So that tells you something, doesn't it? And I remember me and Adam found that out years ago. We were, when we used to trawl through, used to do it with us. You trawl through anything to try and find. And Dorset was the first police force that actually had an official form that you filled out, because they had so many big cat reports, which is just amazing, isn't it? So at some point you're going to have to admit that they're there, and then you're going to have to put land aside for them. And that's...
There was a big thing here in the 90s about the Morecambe Beast, which is a village just next door.
Yeah.
They had footprints and many sightings, and I've met people that live here that have seen big cats.
Right. Yeah.
It's not that unusual.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not that unusual, isn't it? It's the same in Yorkshire. They just accept it. It's just, farmers just write so many off now, losses to large cats. And some of the some of the bodies that have been blamed on cats and dogs don't match up. And I'm not a townie. I know what a sheep kill, a dog, worrying sheep's like and stuff. These are strange ones, and it's like the use space was peeled. On another one, on a number of them, there's been nothing on the ground, so no blood, no hair, no sign of an animal.
Like a mutilation, like one of the classic kind of mutilation things.
Exactly like that. Yeah, and it's just strange. Where another one, it was just looked like it had been cleaned out, like it was the entire carcass, but it had just been completely cleaned out. But there was no blood or mess on the ground or anything. Couldn't get my head round it. And then I had a look, and it said 15,000 sheep kills were blamed on dogs in the year 2016. One farmer lost 55 in one night. Not taken, not eaten, just left behind, dead. And it wasn't a bite to the neck, and it wasn't like with dogs is you normally get claw marks and slobbering and biting and all that kind of mess. Nothing like that. Just kind of opened. The back legs were missing on some of those on the big farm.
Right.
Like the actual back legs had been taken, and it kind of happens consistently over and over again. And Dorset is one of those areas where you get large reports of strange animal mutilations. I'll have a look, pull some of them off my laptop for you and send them over to you.
Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
might be something you might want to, have a nosy about that and see. Because
Yeah.
if there's
Definitely.
enough protein down there to feed a thriving colony of cats, then you kind of no argument that it could feed somebody who maybe probably just eats like a human. You described him best when you called him, what was it you called him? Homo ferus?
Homo ferus, wild man, yeah.
Exactly that. That coined it for me. I've said that on a number of interviews that I've done. Warren Port coined it. He's like we would be if we ate wild and we exercised all the time and we lived out there. He's that. He's what we maybe could have been. I think that's where my kind of, if I had to put my money on the table, that's how I would put it. I'd say he's just maybe a cousin or a brother or something like that down that line. I mean, I don't know. You might feel differently, but that's it for me. I think he's some kind of relative. Is probably the best way I can put it.
I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not certain that it isn't Neanderthals, that they simply chose to go back more wild because they saw the way we were going and didn't want to go that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I agree with that.
Certainly some of the descriptions still fit with Neanderthals or Homo heidelbergensis and that kind of thing.
They do, especially in the UK.
And we don't know for sure, even though Neanderthals did wear some clothing, we don't know they weren't hairy. We don't know.
No, we don't. It's guesswork, isn't it? Yeah. They changed their opinion again, even about Cheddar Man. They described him completely differently now than they did 25 years ago.
Yeah,
He's now,
he's dark-skinned now, isn't he?
Yeah, didn't they say that he'd be reddish blonde and he'd be very pale skin, and it was completely the opposite. Yeah. And you think, you put hair on that, make that hairier, because over generational time, if you need to adapt hair, Alison Wilkinson says hair is the poor man's fur. It's much easier to evolve hair than it is to evolve fur. So maybe they did evolve and they needed that. They're much better adapted to life in the UK than we are. Like, I mean, seriously, they are, aren't they? They don't need a house.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, an ice age would push us out, but it wouldn't then. They would stay.
I agree with you completely. I often think that. I think they'll be here long after we've gone. Yeah, because we need technology just to stay alive for 24 hours.
Yeah.
They don't, do they? They do not. But I think I've taken up so much of your time. I didn't mean to do that. But it's really interesting. Would you come back on another time and let me record you again? I also asked Steve, I said to him what we could do for other people that are out there. And if you're interested and you're out there and you're listening and you're a little bit shy, what I'm hoping to do is, say, once a month or so, we'll do something like this where there's a number of us chatting. And if you want to jump in because you've had a similar experience, or you just fancy coming on and having a listen and see how you feel, let me know, because I'm going to try and get me and Warren and a number of the others who are having these experiences to talk like we're doing now and just have a general chat and a natter and see where we go. So don't hang up on me, Warren, because obviously I want to say thank you. But for now, thank you to Warren. That was absolutely amazing. I've been enthralled. I've had 3 cups of tea while you've been talking. You really have made me day. You've absolutely cheered me up. And I know that you will have done for everybody else out there. So from me and the from me and the gang, I'm having a gabby night tonight, I think. I need to stop with my incessant talking, I think. Sorry about that. What was you saying there, Warren? Sorry.
Oh, I just said I hope that, people did enjoy it.
I'm telling you, the emails will be coming in, and I'll pop them over to you so you can see them. But I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been absolutely wonderful. So until next time, everybody, thank you very much. I'm Deborah Crossley. Deborah Crossley Hatswell now. I'm married, and Warren is Warren Port. You can find Warren on Facebook. He does some amazing artwork. So good night, everyone. Night.